Okay, good afternoon. We're going to go ahead and get started. I am Linda Klepper, the Schertz Public Affairs Director, Lindaklepper. I'm just going to go over the order of events for this afternoon's press conference. We are going to have Detective Helen Lafitte, who is the lead investigator on this case, give you an overview of where we're at with the investigation and the information that we are seeking from the public. Afterwards, we will invite the family up. They will give a statement. We do ask that you respect their privacy. No questions for the family will be going on. After the family gives the statement, we'll open it up for questions, and Detective Lafitte will be here to answer. So without further ado, here is Detective Lafitte.
I am Detective Helen Lafitte, H-E-L-E-N, L-A-F-I-T-T-E. I am a detective with the Schertz Police Department. I would first like to thank everybody for being here today. I really do appreciate it. First thing, I'd like to introduce those who I have up here with me. I have Texas Ranger Conde Benoit. I have Texar Director of Field Operations, Sean Honstrider, Corporal Detective Sean McKenna with the Schertz Police Department, and Evidence Technician Chelsea Garcia, also with the Schertz Police Department. They have provided assistance throughout this investigation. One thing I do want to acknowledge outside of the press conference, I guess, is Texar, Texas Search and Rescue, whom Sean is here representing. They are a volunteer organization that assist people and agencies in locating missing individuals. They are strictly a volunteer organization. They do rely on donations, and they have assisted us immensely in this case so far. So I wanted to take a moment to show my appreciation for them. So I do have a statement that I'm going to go over, and then we will go from there. So first things first, at about 23:30 hours on Sunday, March 7th, 2021, Jacob Dubois told his girlfriend he was going to meet up with his friend, Ethan Beckman. In speaking with Jacob's girlfriend, it was not unusual for Jacob to go with Ethan and drive around. However, in this instant, Jacob did not return home. Jacob's girlfriend called the police the following day, and officers were able to make contact with Ethan via phone. Ethan stated he and Jacob had driven to a construction site near Jacob's house in the area of Homestead Parkway and Somerville. Ethan told that officer that Jacob had told him to leave him at the site and he would walk home. However, over the course of the investigation, Ethan has given several conflicting accounts of exactly where he left Jacob. By Tuesday, March 9th, 2021, Jacob had still not returned home, nor was anyone able to reach him by phone. It was on this date that Jacob was reported missing. Over the course of the investigation, detectives learned that Ethan had been involved in a motor vehicle accident on March 8th near his apartment complex off of TPC Parkway. This resulted in damage to the front right of his vehicle. This vehicle was a gray 2019 Volkswagen Jetta GTI. Based on information obtained, investigators believe Ethan drove this damaged vehicle north up 281 and parked it on Johnson Way. Ethan then utilized several Lyft ride shares to make several trips to Walmart, purchasing items that could possibly be used in an attempt to dispose of or destroy a body. In the early morning hours of March 9th, Ethan was contacted by a Bexar County Sheriff's deputy and then by San Antonio Police in the area of 281 South and Borgfeld Road, having his vehicle become completely disabled. In observing the body-worn camera of the SAPD officer, the Bexar County deputy is heard telling the SAPD officer that he observed lighter fluid and paper towels in the vehicle. In further viewing the video, it appears as though Ethan's clothing was spotted due to having come in contact with bleach, which was one of the items Ethan had purchased the day prior. Ethan's vehicle was eventually towed to his mother's work. On March 10th, detectives were able to speak with Ethan regarding Jacob's disappearance. Ethan continued to give conflicting stories as to how long he and Jacob had driven around before he took him back to his house, along with where Ethan had dropped Jacob off. According to Ethan, as of the 10th, he had not heard from nor spoken with Jacob. On March 11th, based on the information provided, detectives located a vehicle parked behind Ethan's mother's business under a tarp. With permission from Ethan's mother, detectives were able to confirm that this was in fact Ethan's Volkswagen. At this point, the vehicle was seized for safekeeping and further investigation. After arriving at the police department, a warrant to search the vehicle was obtained and executed that same day. Upon initial inspection of the vehicle, it appeared as though someone had attempted to clean the inside of the vehicle to the point the floorboards were soaked with water. During the search of the vehicle, the presence of blood was discovered on and around the passenger seat of the vehicle. These areas were tested and showed a positive result for blood. Detectives later learned that Ethan had used a pressure washer to clean the vehicle on the 10th. Based on the condition of the vehicle and the evidence of blood, a warrant was issued for Ethan's arrest for tampering with or fabricating physical evidence, a third-degree felony, on March 12, 2021. After issuing Ethan's arrest warrant, detectives were unable to immediately locate him. Detectives then asked for assistance from his mother in attempting to locate his whereabouts. Over the course of interviewing his mother, an arrest warrant was later issued charging her with hindering apprehension or prosecution, a Class A misdemeanor. On March 29th, Ethan Beckman was booked into the Guadalupe County Jail, having been arrested for the charge of tampering with physical evidence in regard to Jacob's disappearance. It is the belief of myself and those closely involved with this case that unfortunately, Jacob is missing due to foul play, and at this time, this has turned into an ongoing murder investigation. So at this time, I'm going to have Jacob's mother, Sylvia Dubois, step up here, and she has prepared a statement.
Good afternoon. My husband and I come before you as parents that have an enormous love for their son, and we are in need of help from our community. Our son Jacob has been missing for 8.5 months, and we need your help to find him. When our son disappeared, we had hoped that he would come home. Our hopes were shattered when the evidence was found that would point to the possibility that our son may no longer be with us. On October the 2nd, we had a celebration of life for our son, but still, it doesn't bring closure for us. In respects, it made the situation more real and more painful. Today, we're reaching out to try to find someone who heard, saw, remembers anything that might help the case. If you know any information regarding Ethan's whereabouts during my son's disappearance in March, please contact Detective Lafitte and the police department, or anonymously through Crime Stoppers. You can report what you know or what you've seen. Even if you don't have personal knowledge, please share this information via the video and links with everybody you can. My husband and I, his brother, sister, his fiance, and countless others are struggling through this devastating loss. Please help us bring justice for Jacob, and we would be extremely grateful for your help. Thank you all so much.
So that's another thing that we wanted to make everyone aware of today, is we have partnered with the Guadalupe County Crime Stoppers, who have so graciously offered an up to $5,000 reward for information which leads to the felony arrest of persons responsible for any crimes against Jacob Dubois. So I would just like to reiterate the fact that our ultimate goal at this point is to provide some closure to the Dubois family and friends of Jacob, and any information that you have would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Ma'am, can you tell us, is Ethan still in the Guadalupe County Jail right now, or is he out on bail?
He is currently still in jail.
And why now for the Crime Stop? Because it sounds like he was arrested several months ago. And why did you decide to put this out there now?
So at the beginning of the investigation, it seemed like we had a good, what's the word I'm looking for? It was going well. We felt like we were getting somewhere, and at this point, some of those leads and that information is slowing down. So we're just trying to look for assistance from anybody that may have any information.
What's the hypothesis on what happened that day that Jacob disappeared?
Foul play, and unfortunately, like I said, it is an ongoing murder investigation at this point.
But it had something to do with the vehicle that he had been
Correct. Correct. There's information there that I can't release at this point.
You mentioned he was cleaned on the inside. And
Correct.
there was also a wreck. It's believed that Ethan hit him with the vehicle?
No,
or
sir.
that-
No, the wreck was separate. The wreck was kind of a hit and run situation. He wrecked into, I believe it was a utility pole. I have witnesses on that, so I have confirmation on that separate incident.
Okay, good. And then, I guess, is there any tie-in then to
No.
the incident? It just happened that he had
Correct.
done that, so you sought out the car and then found that as evidence? Is that
Correct.
What is his date of birth, if you may, give it to release? Ethan,
I don't know that I have that in front of me. I'd
you
have to,
the proper spelling.
yes. It's ETHAN, B as in boy, ECKMAN as in Nancy.
Does Ethan have a prior criminal history?
Yes, he does.
What are some of the charges he has against him?
I know on the Guadalupe County site, he does show as having some drug offenses. And then I do believe he was previously arrested in Bexar County.
what was the relationship between Ethan and Jacob? Were they friends, co-workers? How are they connected?
So it's our understanding that they all kind of grew up together in this area. Unfortunately, when they got into high school, they all kind of went their separate ways, and then after high school, they all kind of reconnected.
Was anybody else with them that day?
At the time of when this occurred, it is our belief at this time, no.
And Beekman's still in jail, correct?
Correct, yes, sir.
In
Guadalupe County, yes.
Is there any thought on why Ethan may have murdered Jacob? It sounds like you do believe it was at his hands.
Correct. At this time, we have not quite figured out specifically what the motive was.
Yeah, but is he the lone suspect right now
At
in
this-
Jacob's murder? Or
We have not ruled anything out, but he is our main focus at this time.
What is the scope of the search right now? Is it concentrated on Schertz, Bexar County, how far?
It's all over. In the statement, we talked about that he had driven all the way as far north that we know of, 281 in Johnson Way, and then he was in the area of 281 in Borgfeld. So we have covered several different areas that we have searched so far.
What are you hoping to get from the public? What do you want?
Again, it's just information so we can bring Jacob home ultimately. Unfortunately, we don't know that how Jacob will be brought home, but we need that closure for the family, especially now getting closer to the holidays. I know that it's going to be very difficult for Sylvia and her husband and their family.
The incident that happened, do you believe it happened in Schertz and then he drove out of the city limits to try to
At this time,
source
yes.
evidence?
Yes. That is our belief.
What time of day was this? This was late at night?
Yes, sir. It was about 11:30, I believe, 10:30, 11:30. It was later in the evening. Yes, 23:30, 11:30.
Is there, what's holding you back from being able to charge him with something more than he has already been charged? Can you?
It's gathering that evidence, awaiting results, and then continuing to find additional evidence.
Speaking of evidence, you mentioned that there was evidence of blood in his car.
Mhm.
Were you able to match that to Jacob, or was it damaged because of supposedly bleaching?
We're still awaiting the results.
So Beekman's denying it? Did he say he's not doing it?
He's not really told us anything. We interviewed him initially before we realized the scope of what we had. And then we had trouble locating him, and then by the time he was arrested, he's chosen not to speak with us.
Does he have an attorney?
Yes, sir.
So he's lawyered up.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned that the statements have changed several times. Could you tell us what are the details that he's been changing?
Without getting too specific, some were in the area of Jacob's house. Others were in another city. It's just some were in that construction site. So we've got several different conflicting accounts of where he said that he left Jacob finally.
We'll go ahead and take a couple more questions and then we'll wrap it up. We will be sending out a press release kind of summarizing what was discussed here today right after the press conference. And then Detective Lafitte will be available for questions this afternoon as well. So a couple more if you guys have them, and then we'll wrap up.
Anything?
You mentioned his mother was also charged, or Ethan's mother was also charged.
Yes, sir.
Is she believed to have been involved with Jacob's disappearance, or just helping to conceal Ethan after the fact?
I think it was more just helping to conceal Ethan after the fact.
So you picked him up on foul play? Is that the charge?
No, he was,
Something else?
Ethan was charged and arrested for tampering with evidence.
What's keeping him in jail right now? What's his bail set at?
His bail is set at $1 million, or his bond is set at $1 million. There's been some scheduling issues with court hearings and such that has prevented him from having his bond reduction hearing held and going forward with that.
Was that set at $1 million right off the bat?
Yes, sir.
And can you explain the reason why what's being, such a high amount?
Early on in the investigation, based on the evidence from the vehicle, we did believe that foul play was involved, so that was explained to the judge that signed the arrest warrant. And at that time, that's when the bond was set.
I know you can't talk about what was found in the vehicle. Is there anything you can release?
Aside from just what we did talk about, the blood evidence, and then just other evidence that leads us to believe, again, that foul play is involved.
Was there an extensive search done at the construction site? Anything found in the construction site?
Searches were done. I'm not really at liberty to say what has been found at this point. Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you guys. And again, Detective Lafitte will be available if you guys have any follow-up questions this afternoon, and then the press release will be sent out if you want it emailed to you. If you can provide your email to Devin off to my left over here. Thank you all. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Which one's with who?
That's all good.
Yes.
Okay,
But she has mine and Vanessa. Oh, thanks.
yeah, we'll get it forwarded over to you.